This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single? Do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series. Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Jonathan Von Tobel, who opened the show yesterday. What up, fools? Welcome back to Money Moves, live from downtown Las Vegas.
You're listening.
Circa Resort and Casino. Stormy Buonantony, JVT with you. Lots to get to this hour. Still to come. We're going to preview the NBA doubleheader, Magic Pistons, Suns Thunder. We also have a 3-game slate in the NHL as the Stanley Cup playoffs roll on. Talk through some series prices as well there. Plenty of NFL draft talk throughout the hour as we are just 24 hours away from that first card officially being turned in. Coming up in 15 minutes, Turron Davenport covers the Titans for ESPN. He's going to stop by. They have the number 4 overall pick. Number 5 going to the Giants, which is where we're going to begin this hour. Very fortunate to have Charlotte Carroll join us here on the Progressive Guest Line to kick off the hour. Covers the Giants for The Athletic. And Charlotte, in addition to the number 5 overall pick, we know they also now have the number 10 overall selection. They get that second pick following the trade of Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals. So before we get into what we're going to do with these picks or what you think that the Giants are going to do, and Charlotte does have an article out right now, by the way, of the Giants' big board and those top 40 prospects that we could potentially see. But can you break down for us how this trade with Dexter Lawrence came together and the impact you think it'll have in New York?
Yeah, you're talking about, first off, thanks for having me on. Happy to talk Giants any day, especially this week. Crazy big week. But you're talking about a player who hasn't been happy for a while, wanted out, publicly requested a trade. And obviously the Giants wanted to keep him. John Harbaugh even pretty early called him a cornerstone, more like a middle stone player. They just weren't able to get anything done. And rather than, have this extend and have a player who's not happy come into training camp and potentially drag on and a contract standoff, whatever that might be, they went with this option, which was a very good option, and getting this number 10 exchange, a lot better of a deal than I thought they were going to be able to get. And they pull the trigger and make the move. And Dexter Lawrence is now a Cincinnati Bengal with the opportunity to go win a Super Bowl, like he's watched a few of his friends do from this Giants locker room. And the Giants kind of get a fresh, clean slate, signaling the rebuild almost, in my opinion, or continued rebuild. And they've got 2 top 10 picks for tomorrow.
Yeah, and Mike Renner tweeted this out a couple of days ago that he believed Joe Schoen was going to be the first GM in the NFL history to have 2 separate drafts with multiple top 10 picks for the same franchise. 2022 was the last time they had this opportunity. I did want to focus on Schoen for a second before we get to what the selections might be. Obviously a new coaching staff, but Schoen is still there in the driver's seat as general manager. Have you gotten a sense of what this new dynamic is like between him and Harbaugh and how maybe Schoen might change the way he operates in a draft with a new head coach?
Yeah, I think it's so far everything's been good that you're hearing publicly. You're just, they're learning to work together, kind of learning each other's styles. Obviously, the draft is traditionally, the GM's place, but we've kind of learned that Harbaugh has a lot of control and what he's going to do. So I'm very curious myself to see what impact he ends up having in this draft and how much an influence in what that working dynamic looks like. And I think that's something we'll find out a little bit more after. But so far, so good. And he's still obviously the GM and Harbaugh's head coach.
Charlotte Carroll, New York Giants beat reporter for The Athletic, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Well, let's start with number 5. What is the expectation, at least from what you've been hearing or going through? What do you think that they are going to do when all is said and done?
I have no idea, and that's not exactly a very encouraging thing. There's a couple of options, but they've done a really good job, it feels like, this year, just having a different head coach. And with that number 5, it's a little bit more unpredictable, especially with the way this draft is shaping up. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza, number 1, this really starts at 2, and not knowing what, the Jets, Titans, and Cardinals are going to do kind of shakes it up. What needs this team has and what the Giants are looking for. They really need a right guard. They could use some playmakers to pair Jackson Dart with. Then there's obviously these 2 really good defensive prospects out of Ohio State that could be in play at 5. Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles. And there's this whole running back question with Jeremiah Love. So I'm not sure. And we had a mock draft, staff-wide athletic mock, where I ended up having the choice between Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs at number 5. I went Jeremiah Love just because in our big boards and things like that, he's the most top-ranked player and just such a dynamic playmaker that I think would be really important to pair for them.
What do you think their target would be positionally later in the draft with that 10th overall selection?
Yeah, I think it depends, obviously, what they're able to get at number 5, but I don't think you can kind of rule out, right guard, top kind of right guard, right tackle situation, or not right tackle, but just like a offensive lineman potentially, or, if they do go playmaker with number 5, looking at maybe a defensive player would be smart, in my opinion. Obviously, both those areas covered because the defense really could use some help too after getting rid of Dexter Lawrence.
What are some of your expectations for in terms of the identity and what John Harbaugh wants to bring to this team, that not only in the first round, but that you expect him to prioritize as they try to build this franchise and push it forward?
Yeah, physicality and toughness. I think that's definitely been the word of the day when you're talking with just, we got the coordinators and kind of learning and what a Harbaugh player is and what a Harbaugh team is. So as I was building out that big board that you mentioned, looking at players who kind of are tough and not afraid to dig into work was definitely something I was looking at.
As you look at the way this might shake out, and we have the positional needs for the New York Giants, you have this big board of players. As you were looking through some of these guys, what are some of the late round players you think might be intriguing that they could target? Or is there just any single player that we're not talking about that has stuck out to you in this process?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a single player. To me, it's just more position-wise. They definitely need a guard. They need a defensive tackle as well. We haven't really talked about that, but just getting more bodies in at that position because it was already thin before they got rid of Dexter Lawrence. Now it's scary to look at. They'll obviously probably sign someone post-draft. DJ Reader was in the building about a week ago, and I'm losing track of time. That's the fun part of the draft week. But he was in the building, so who can they bring in not only from a free agent standpoint, who's still remaining, but also from the draft, maybe in the middle rounds. They have 3 6-round picks. I'm curious, too, if they'll be able to trade back, if this is something where they're either at number 5, number 10, or even number 37, where they kind of kick off the second round, if someone will be interested in moving up for a player if they're still on the board, if they can get a deal done and get more picks to be able to work with. So that's something I've got my eye on as well.
Charlotte, appreciate you lending us some of your time. I know it's a really busy week. Thanks for this.
Thanks so much for having me on. Happy to talk Giants anytime.
Charlotte Carroll, everybody, again, and check out that big board over at The Athletic right now. They're putting out a ton of content ahead of the draft, not only the work that Charlotte's doing covering the Giants, but every single team. They've got all their beat writers putting out some really, really strong content right now. Just because she mentioned trades there, how many trades do you think we see early? Do we get one? Do we ultimately get one in the top 5 when all said and done, you think? Everything
we're hearing is it's the same thing as everything. Hey, there's going to be a lot of trades. You better watch out. There's not going to be that many trades. I don't know about that. So who knows? We know that 2 teams in Arizona and Tennessee are blatantly putting out that they want to trade out of those selections. So will you be it also depends on who wants to trade up. I mean, the price to get all the way up there, if you're talking about any of these teams that are, the farther out you go, obviously the more expensive it's going to be to get up there. So are there really going to be some candidates? Because the problem is when you're talking about trading out of those selections, I mean, you've got to have something like really enticing, a quarterback, that you would want to go up and get. Are some of these edge rushers or Jeremiah Love or anything those assets worth, or excuse me, any of them worth sacrificing assets for, whatever they are, to go up and get them at 3 or at number 4? I would say probably not. So I would say top 10, maybe not. But as you get further down, as you could see, when it becomes cheaper to move up, then probably. And
we can follow up on that Titans conversation coming up in the next segment. Turron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, he's going to stop by on the Progressive Guest Line as well, so we can get some of his thoughts there. In terms of who the favorite is in that spot right now, it is Jeremiah Love at an even money price. For the number 5 pick, Sonny Styles, your favorite, at plus 190, Jordan Tyson 3-1, and then Jeremiah Love at plus 425. Caleb Downs as well. As Charlotte mentioned, they're the same price as Jeremiah Love. It's always just so interesting because your pick is so determinant on what happens ahead of you that you never really know what's going to happen unless you have a really, really good intel on your side.
I just always, I'm just curious. It's not like, look, he is not anywhere near the athlete, it would seem, as Jeremiah Love. So I get it to an extent, but it is interesting to hear them being tied to Love should he be available there, given the season that Jackson Dart had with his running mate Cam Scattaboo.
Well, Cam Scattaboo's crazy.
Yeah, right. And it's not, like I said, it's not like you would forego a talent like Love because you've got him, but it is pretty interesting to see that dynamic. And hey, man, even no matter how well you perform, it doesn't really matter because you're coming off of an injury and we need more dynamic athleticism. We can use both of you, but one of them is a little bit more worth it when it comes to Love. And you can use him, I think, in a lot more versatile ways, but still pretty interesting nonetheless to see him tied to that team should he be potentially available.
I would also hope or at least think that potentially John Harbaugh can encourage Cam Scattaboo just to headbutt things less. Just a little bit. It's okay.
Might be worth it.
I mean, it's allowed him to barrel through tackles on the field, so maybe it's positive. But some of those videos that you see of Cam Scattaboo, that dude's wild.
Yes, he is. So I was looking at some prices on stuff to see where we're getting priced for these things.
No, it's all good. And obviously, anybody who is listening to VSiN, you are always looking for picks. And you can get free picks right now backed by real analysis with Just Win Bets, baby. Our friends over there have mathematical models and AI-driven best bets across all sports, including as we get to the football season. So NFL, college football, hoops, NBA, and NHL as we're in the postseason right now, UFC, soccer, and more. Plus, a live weekend preview each and every Friday as well. Get this, you can subscribe on YouTube, you can follow them on X, and get their free daily best bets newsletter when you head over to justwinbetsbaby.com. That's justwinbetsbaby.com. Okay, so still to come, like we said, we're going to have Turron Davenport join us coming up next, have a few minutes with him, discuss through what some of the Titans options are and looking ahead to what the future might be in year 2 of the Cam Ward era in Tennessee. Can they take that next step forward? Also need to get into a lot of NHL talk here. I still haven't heard your opinion on the 2 games that we have today in the NBA. One massive spread that, in terms of some of the historical data, teams that have been this big of a favorite in the NBA postseason actually do tend to cover those numbers more often than not. So could that be the situation for OKC today? We will discuss. Lots to come still this hour on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
Catch the NBA playoffs on Sling TV, the most flexible live TV streaming service, putting consumers in control to watch games their way with flexible subscriptions. Want to catch one game or a full series on ESPN? Grab a 1, 3, or 7-day pass. If you want to catch as many games as possible, get a monthly subscription with our ABC, NBC, and ESPN combo package. Either way, Sling lets you watch the playoffs your way with no long-term contracts. Learn more at sling.com.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
With it being draft week, I think we are naturally already looking ahead to the football season, and the Sharps Invitational is a season-long NFL bankroll tournament. Think poker meets football, starting with 10,000 chips. Put them to work on spreads, totals, parlays, even props this football season. NFL Week 1 through the Super Bowl. Stack your chips, climb the leaderboard, and compete for real cash. 3 tiers, 3 champs, 3 prize pools worth playing for. Sign up today at jointhesharps.com. That's jointhesharps.com. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Wow, what?
Can I give you a quick stat? This
Please,
is pretty good.
I love a quick stat.
So this is from Carson Breber. He has this about Kevin Durant. We're going to get to this back to this series a little bit later, and I know we have our NFL guest here, but this is a good one. By his count, Kevin Durant has been doubled or blitzed 61 times over the Rockets' last 3 games versus the Lakers. If you exclude the offensive rebounds, they've scored just 42 points or 0.69 points per possession with a whopping 16 turnovers.
Woof.
KD has 20 turnovers overall in those 3 games.
9 of which came last night.
Yeah.
It has not been good.
They have something that bothers Kevin Durant, and it's the way that they blitz and double him. It's incredible.
As you said, we will still preview the 2 games that are to come tonight. Orlando getting 8.5 in Detroit. Phoenix Suns getting 17.5 for game 2 in OKC after what was a blowout in the first game of that set. But like you said, continuing on with some of our NFL conversation, we are just about 24 hours away from the start of the NFL draft in 2026. And to help us get a little more keyed in on the Titans side of things as they are selecting number 4 overall this year, Turron Davenport joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter. Turron, how are you? Happy draft week.
I'm doing really well. How are you? Happy draft week to everyone out there. It's Christmas Eve, I guess you could say, huh?
Okay, this is a silly question, but do you like, love, or hate the movie Draft Day?
You know what? I love the movie. I love the movie. It's a little sensationalized, but it's cool to see the draft get that type of publicity, so to speak. So yeah, I like it. I'm a big Terry Crews fan too. So
I'm such a fan of that movie. I watch it every year before the draft as like a tradition. And I know that it's bad. And I know that it's, not realistic in a lot of ways. But it's a tradition unlike any other. Let's get down with it. But let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and what they're doing at 4 to kick things off here. Because there's been a lot of conversation about the team potentially trading out of that spot. If they don't trade out of it, who would they want? So how do you see that shaken out right now?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what happens with pick 2 and 3, primarily pick 3, because I feel as though, and from what I've gathered, if a pass rusher is on the board, whether it's David Bailey or Val Reese, that's who they're taking. But if both of those guys go at 2nd and 3rd, then you have a whole Pandora's box is open, because the next top 2 players on their board are non-premium positions, and you have that whole conversation of, if you draft a running back number 4, he's the 7th paid overall, and who cares? Jeremiah Love is a top-level player. And then you also have the whole conversation about Sonny Styles, where it's like, who needs an inside backer? Well, guess what? Middle linebacker is a premium position in this defense. So I think in that situation, the Titans are like, all right, what are we going to do? And they're going to stretch that 8 minutes and look to trade back. And if they could trade back and acquire, another pick to get in line with their stated goal last year to have 10 picks within the top 100 over the next 3 years, I think they're able to, do that by moving back and still getting a premium player. They just got to make sure they don't move back too far.
Turron, first off, I enjoy the nasally, nerdy voice of all the people who would detract against selecting a running back there. Absolutely fantastic work. The second is this is the second year, right, for this front office in control of this draft. It's pretty easy when you have the first overall pick and a talent like Ward there at the top to get that pick right. But can you say that you've learned anything for the way this front office operates from last year's draft that you would expect them to do here in this draft?
Yeah, I could say what I've learned is they are going to operate independent of what others think. And a good example of that is, last year they're sitting on top at the top of the second round, and rather than picking some of the pass rushers that were there, they said, well, we want to acquire more picks. They moved back. They manufactured a pick. That pick is now the starting safety for them, Kevin Winston Jr., and they got by pick 53, they got Femi Oladejo, who's one of their starting defensive ends. So to me, I think they have shown that they will stick to their stated goal, and that's why I think a trade back is so much in play at 4 overall, but also at 35 as well.
How much do Mike Borgonzi and Robert Saleh, you anticipate, how much are they going to work together on this versus Borgonzi, like having roster control essentially?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think when you look at this, what Borgonzi said at his pre-draft presser, he was like, you never draft a player a coach doesn't want. I've seen it happen, and it never goes well. It's not fair to the organization. It's not fair to the player. It's not fair to the coach. So I think that shows you just how much in line that they're going to be. Talking to Robert Saleh, he said that the collaboration has been great between everybody. So I think you look at that. But we're really going to see, because it's no secret Saleh really likes Sonny Styles, right? And there's no secret that the organization themselves. They like Jeremiah Love, and they like pass rushers too. So it's going to be interesting watching it all play out. But I think that relationship is there. The understanding of, you don't go ahead and pick the groceries out for your chef. You let him go get it, and so he can make the meal that he wants to make, and it's good.
At 4, whatever happens in the first round, depending on the picks ahead of them, we will see what they do. But if they come away with their edge rusher in that 4th spot, what do you expect the Titans would do with that second-round pick at number 35?
Yeah, that's a great question also. I think, you put a guy like Keelan Rutledge in there. You look at a guy like Chris Brazzell, who may be there, the receiver out of Tennessee. Chris Bell is another one out of Louisville. I mean, there's a lot of directions they could go. You look at Zachariah Branch is another one. Like, there's so many different ways. I think with this, if they go Jeremiah Love first, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like a T.J. Parker or a Cassius Howell at 35. But then, flip side, they go Reese or one of the pass rushers at 35. I could see them going, a guard position like Keelan Rutledge, just to make sure that run game is intact with the guys that they have now.
Jeremiah Love, by the way, is the favorite to be the number 4 overall pick right now at an even money price. I was curious what the latest is on Cam Ward. I know he's dealing with a little bit of a shoulder issue. What can you share on the Ward front right now?
Yeah, well, here's the thing with the shoulder. He's actually thrown. He's been throwing for about 3 or 4 weeks now, so that's a good sign. Mike Borgonzi said he's trending towards throwing at minicamp, which is an even better sign. And just in talking to Daryl Colbert Jr., his quarterback coach, his private quarterback coach, who also coaches Diego Pavia, the feedback is good, and their focus has been on the footwork, being able to, get him to get quicker in his drops and match that up with the footwork that's required in Brian Daboll's scheme. So there's communication between Daboll and the quarterback coach, which is, what you want when you have a private position coach. So all things are pointing up. In fact, Cam Ward, he just went and toured the new stadium that's going up in February of 27, which, by the way, was built by the same folks that built Allegiant Stadium out there where you guys are. But he toured it, and there was a guy, he was shaking hands with the guys, and one of them told him, I'll shake your hand even though I'm a Cowboys fan, and Cam Ward wouldn't shake his hand.
Turron, our last 90 seconds with you. When free agency happened, when this coaching staff got hired, Titans were widely considered to be a pretty big winner of this offseason. Do you share those sentiments, and does that team kind of have that expectation of taking a very solid step forward in 2026?
Yeah, I think the arrow is pointing up. They got a refresh. They got the guy in there that they needed, as far as like someone that's a general, a guy that could help them progress forward. And you look at the additions: Alontae Taylor, John Franklin Myers, Wan'Dale Robinson. They brought in some weapons, and there's a lot of familiarity. I like what they did as far as like making sure that most of the guys that they got their hands on free agent wise they had previous experience with the coaching staff, and so that helps minimize the projection because they've been in the scheme before. So I think all things look good. I wouldn't sit here and say they're going to win the AFC South, but doubling their total wins from last year, I think that's a complete victory for them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win 6-7 games this year.
Turron, you're awesome. Thank you for this. We appreciate it. Enjoy tomorrow.
No problem. Appreciate it. You guys enjoy tomorrow as well. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, we will. Turron Davenport, again, check out all the work, doing great stuff with ESPN NFL Nation. You can follow him on X as well, at @TDavenport_NFL.
Those are coworkers.
We've unfortunately never met, Turron and I. Cover different sports.
The hockey NFL circles not exactly a Venn diagram.
Not quite as much, unfortunately. Although that is a good point. So I am back now after 3 games in 3 days in 3 cities, covering a handful of NHL games. When we come back, we can react to a little bit of what we saw yesterday. We got 3 more games coming up today on the ice. Are there bets to be made? We will discuss when we return right here on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves.
Here we go. This is where it starts to get good. Did you have something to read?
Nope.
Tim Murray just sent me something, and I'm in. Justin, you might remember this. I don't remember if you were a producer at that point. 2 years ago, Matt Humans and I made a bet.
Okay. Wait, is it about to get a payoff today? Or
It might get a payoff tomorrow.
Ooh, okay, let's go.
I bet Matt Humans that Carson Beck would be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. And he mocked me. He told me no. Now, this was when he was at Georgia. So, obviously, we know that Carson Beck's career went to Miami. We saw him last year. Tim Murray sends me this report. Tom Pelissero. Carson Beck expected to go earlier than everyone expects.
Stop.
Can't, quote, rule out 100% the first round.
This is ridiculous. So Why does this happen every year?
We're not going to get one quarterback. We're not going to get two quarterbacks.
We're going to get three.
We're going to get three
Why does this
quarterbacks
happen?
in the first round. One of them is going to be Carson Beck. And Matt Humans, much like a Wendy's double stack, is going to have to eat his words.
Why does this happen? Why do we get the infatuation with first-round quarterbacks year after year after year?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Stormy, but you can't re-sign a quarterback unless you have that fifth year of control.
No, you absolutely can't. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before.
As we've talked about before, Tyler Shuck is, the Saints are screwed. They're never going to be able to re-sign Tyler Shuck because they don't have that fifth year of control. I would be willing to lose out on over 1.5 quarter, the under 1.5 quarterbacks in the first round.
To win this.
Only if Carson Beck is selected in the first round.
You're ridiculous.
It would take the world by storm.
What?
Similar to Matt Humans' thoughts on eggs and the fact that men may or may not make them, this would, I think, reach the same fervor.
That is one of the crazier takes I've heard.
Oh, it's one of Matt's worst takes. Yeah, for sure.
For anyone who missed it, it's that real men don't make eggs.
Correct. Which I believe we just passed the anniversary of.
Oh, it was like
the take. Yeah.
A year? Or is this dated back
No,
farther?
it's a year. I think it's a year. About a year, yeah.
But
it was right before I came and joined this show.
I had never heard nor thought that would be a thing ever. Like, why? What is the rationale behind that?
Real men don't make eggs.
Can we pull the clip? Maybe we can play that back at some point.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we could find that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I need to hear the full explanation because I just don't understand.
Nobody did. Quite honestly, nobody did.
So real quickly, I was trying to look at what point that tweet that Tim sent you, what time was that at? That tweet was out.
Let's see. Let me re-click it here.
It had to have just been a moment
Sorry,
ago,
I'm on the Christmas Arrow egg poll really quick. 12:18, so about 20 minutes ago.
Well, since I last told you the price for over or under 1.5 quarterbacks.
What are we at?
Over minus 250.
Hell yeah, dude. What was it before?
It was
just under $2, wasn't it? Or no, am I tripping?
Yeah, it was minus 190, and the under was plus 140.
Hell yeah.
Now it's plus 180.
Hell yeah.
So here we go. And this is just such a great example, though, about how volatile all of these markets are. You see one thing, it's on the move, whether the book's moving it or money comes in on it right away.
What do you have right now? Minus 250?
Minus 250.
So
hilarious.
Stupid.
Okay, you said there was a series in the NHL that you wanted to talk about. What did you want to get into?
I'm excited. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I wanted to get into your Flyers-Penguins series. So, first off, let's do this professionally. What have you thought so far through 2 games about your Flyers?
Looking good. Looking good.
That's the analysis?
No, it's I really like what I've seen, and it feels like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you've actually been taking an interest in these series, which is pretty cool for me, so I appreciate that. But
it can be returned at some point.
Pittsburgh.
Sorry.
Listen, I've been a little bit busy, okay? But Pittsburgh, it feels like they're very clearly frustrated offensively. They tried juggling their lines to give them a jolt. While it did create a couple opportunities, nothing really doing. They still get shut out. They're 0 for 7 on the power play this series. Dan Muse even admitted, right, that with frustration, it's all about how you respond. And now, it's just going to get tougher and tougher having to go out to Philadelphia now. So I think it's an uphill battle. I picked the Flyers in 6, but it looks like it's going to be a shorter series than that. As far as what? Well, how long do you think it goes? Okay, so give me your breakdown.
Okay, so here's my question, really, as we look at the way that this has played out. Now, there is some noise and things like this because I would say I don't think there's that much noise in what I'm about to say because the Flyers didn't take we'll call it a commanding lead. I consider commanding in hockey a 2-goal lead until the second period, right, of game 2. So I bring that up because a lot of times in games, when you look at like shot share, for example, and you'd be able to speak to this more eloquently because you cover hockey. But if you fall behind, sometimes, to use a soccer term, you'll park the bus if you're the team that's ahead. And so the other team will dominate shot share because they're trying to get back into it, right?
100%.
But because the Flyers took a later lead in that game, I would say that that's probably not the case for game 2. The reason why that matters is if you look at game 2 and the even strength numbers, Pittsburgh actually dominated shot share in that game. Expected goals for Pittsburgh were 2 to, we'll call it 0.7. High danger chances, and these are all at even strength, were 9-2 in favor of Pittsburgh. And yet they lost the game 3-0.
Yeah.
So my whole point here being, we've talked about this all the time. You and I did a lot on this last year. This is the way that I like to do things, which is, as I say lovingly, hockey can be a dumb sport. You can dominate in all those statistics, and you can lose 3-0 in that game. And I do wonder if Pittsburgh, especially in that game, and as you move forward, probably deserved a slightly better fate. They were very even in game 1 if you looked at some of the underlying metrics at even strength as well. And that maybe the Penguins are a little bit more in this series than the 2-0 series lead for the Flyers would indicate, and that maybe, just maybe, you could go out there on the road, steal 2 of these and even this up and go back home with a tied series.
I don't think they get both. I can see them getting one. I don't think they get both out there in Philadelphia, though. And to your point about, yes, a lot of the underlying metrics, I think after game 1, because they only had, 17 shots on goal in game 1? You know they're the 3rd highest scoring team in the National Hockey League. They're going to try to get more shots on net in the next game, and they did that. So it was a 27-save shutout for Vladar. He got tested a little bit more, but they still nothing doing ultimately when all was said and done. I think that the Penguins are a good team, but they also ran into a Flyers team that has gotten really hot at the right time. This is a team that was on the outside looking in of the postseason all year until the last 2 weeks of the regular season where they climbed their way in. And I feel like they're just riding this wave right now. I see this as, like I said, my early prediction was a 6-game series. I see it more as a 5. I think maybe the Penguins can get 1 as they go on this road trip, but I don't know. The Flyers look really, really good right now.
Yeah, and they also, I think you pointed this out, but the Penguins need to be better on the power play as well.
Yeah,
they
0-for-7.
Yeah, they have not been good on the power play, at least in terms of getting the actual results they need. Again, these are metrics in short sample sizes, especially when you're talking about power plays, but still, expected goals for on these power plays, pretty big edge for the Penguins when you look at their advantage, but they just have not been able to cash in. So I'm more, as you know, I like to look at these series.
Yeah.
I look more for just like course corrections, essentially. And so if the Penguins can continue on the course statistically, but water finally finds its level, I would assume that they can do this. And, you look at the exact series, whatnot, where they're at. Obviously, big underdogs for a reason because you're down 2-0 and going on the road as opposed to going back home. But I don't know how I would phrase this. I don't like home ice. You could speak to this more, I think, is important. But the variable of having just a hot goaltender and the variance that hockey can provide, I don't think it's that big of a deal that you're going on the road down 2-0.
All fair points. Yeah. The biggest advantage tactically to having home ice is that you have the opportunity to dictate matchups. The other team can put out who they're going to have on the ice, and then you can look and see if you want to who you want to put to match up with them in those spots. And obviously the atmosphere to your advantage as well a little bit, but that didn't seem to impact the Pittsburgh Penguins very much in that game 2, 3-0 shutout.
That's some hardcore hockey talk for you, dog.
Real quick, I'm very impressed. Yeah. Very impressed. Because we were talking about power play, something I brought up in the Buffalo Sabres, Boston Bruins series preview before we actually got to games was that something that concerned me about Buffalo was the recent power play issues they've had. That is carried over into this series with the Bruins as well. They are now, so they 0-5 last night, 0-5 last night, 0-9 in the series, 0-31 since the start of April, JVT. So something needs to change there.
They haven't had a single power play goal?
No.
That's crazy.
Yes. So that's something that needs to change. I said yesterday when I came on with you, it would be Bruins or pass. They get the 4-2 win yesterday, cash the plus 140 money line. Victor Arvidsson, 2 goals. Morgan Geekie. Did you see that wild goal from from center ice? Just I feel so bad for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen because it is just it just an unfortunate bounce. Yeah. Just it's brutal. Are you just saying that because his name is Geekie?
Yeah. That was the pun.
I haven't heard a lot of those like broadcaster jokes about his name.
You're saying that I'm unprofessional?
Wouldn't surprise me one bit, but he ends up getting pulled, and so it's on to Alex Lyon, and I guess that's the perks of being able to have 2 goaltenders, but I don't know. This is with Boston, when you have a goalie like Jeremy Swayman, you've got some of the skill that they have. I'm curious to see how Buffalo's going to respond to this loss. After we talked about it, it was a very clear letdown spot yesterday. The only way you could have played that was Boston, or don't even touch it, and that's how it played out.
We got best bets coming up. I got a bet for you that I'm going to throw at you in hockey that I want to get your thoughts on.
I'm very curious. I was a little bit, I don't want to say sad because that's not the way to put it. Actually, I'm not even going to say. We will get to best bets coming up next. Yes, it does. And remember, everybody, you got the group chat. Cut is a social betting platform that lets you put some of that trash talk you guys are doing in your group chats into action with bets on sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets. Everything fully customizable. And when you go to Cut today, KUTT.com, or get it in the App Store, use our promo code VEASAN and get a 20% deposit bonus, your first deposit.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, guys, so I've officially listened to the egg conversation. For anyone who missed it, we broached the topic of us just passing the 1-year anniversary of VSiN's own Matt Youmans claiming that men do not make eggs.
Can't or don't make eggs. April 11th was the day in question.
I'm going to see if some of our awesome back-of-house crew can clip this out and just put it back on social media to give it life once again, because it was a genuinely hysterical conversation. One of my favorite parts being all of the people that tweeted in saying, I make eggs all the time. I love making an omelet. What do you, rare humans, L, da-da-da-da. And then his rebuttal, God bless you, Matt Youmans, I love this. His rebuttal is, I bet you there's a lot of people not tweeting in who don't make eggs. That's right. Oh, man. All right. What a time to be alive. Okay. Time for the best bets real quickly.
Wait, I had a bet, though. Wait, it's not.
I don't
we'll get to the
understand.
recap.
I don't understand.
Because I don't know if I'm going to pull a Stormy Buonantony. I don't know if I'm going to bet this yet.
You got to talk it out. You got to talk it out.
It's a hockey thing, so I wanted to bring this up to you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm lost in the sauce here. I'm looking at this. By the way, Chris Becerra did put up a poll that day. Do you make eggs if you're a man? 89.7% of the 787 votes voted yes. So Youmans.
And then it was Matt Youmans and Matt Youmans burners that were all picking no.
Absolutely crushed that day. Okay. So I want to go back to your series really quickly.
What series
Flyers,
is that?
Penguins.
Okay.
If I'm right to an extent that we'll just say that the Penguins are more plucky than we're giving them credit for. Plus 2.5 games is only minus 120.
Sure. I don't think it's going to happen, but sure.
Out of spite, that will be into the best bets.
Do it.
It's on.
Do it. Honestly,
the dismissal with which you just threw that out there, I don't think it's going to happen.
I am already invested in this. I don't need to be further invested betting opposite what I already have in pocket. So I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, quite frankly.
You know what? Give me the Penguins to win the series.
Okay. What are you getting? Plus 300-ish?
Let me shop around. I'm going to shop around right now and get this in.
All righty.
Give me the Penguins to win the series.
You've
angered me now. Now I'm in.
I wanted to ask your opinion also.
No, I'm not going to give it to you.
Why? You were, I felt like, kind of making an argument for the Mammoth, and they ended up getting the win yesterday.
No, I was just more curious because you know me, we've talked about this before. I've called Vegas the fake good team.
Sure.
But I know Mike did. I thought you echoed the sentiments of the Mammoth being pretty competitive in this series.
Sure.
And so earning a split, again, we talked about it, like the value of home ice maybe not being as magnified as some of these other sports, but still being important that you took one.
Yeah. They're fast. They're a good shot suppression team.
Young, right?
Young. That's the big, I think, outside conversation about this series is like the youth that Utah has versus the experience of a team like the Vegas Golden Knights, and if Utah could live up to the moment. But they've been really good. I said how impressed I was with the way, specifically in Game 1, they didn't back down. They actually out-hit Vegas in the game last night as well, as part of that win. I want to make sure before we get to best bets, and maybe one of your bets is in these games, but let's talk through real quickly the NBA doubleheader that we have coming up tonight in the playoffs. Magic, Pistons, Suns, Thunder. Start with Detroit laying 8.5 against the Magic, total 218.5.
For our Killer Sports NBA contest, I took the under. We were given 219 if I remember correctly. So I do think that's kind of the range that you should go with here. I think 218.5 playable here too. But look, if Detroit's going to, I don't think Orlando's a particularly skilled offensive team, as we've discussed many times.
What happened in game one?
I think it was a couple of things, but I think the main thing is the flaws of the Pistons that I have discussed here showed. And, Mitch can speak to this. We talked about this on the podcast this week too. We did our exercise, I want to say like a month ago, maybe a little bit less, of, hey, who are the teams you're drawing a line through in the Eastern Conference? And I drew a line through Detroit. I think that they're overly reliant on Cade Cunningham. They're a very good defensive team, but they are not a team that has another perimeter creator that you can trust. I mean, you can look at all of these teams that we're talking about that have won championships and are good or skilled offensive teams or legitimate contenders. Every single one of them has a secondary creator that they can trust when their best player is not able to, getting bottled up, double team, whatever it is. Detroit's is Jalen Duren, who is a front court or player, and that's really about it. So I think that's a flaw in the build of Detroit. And now you got an Orlando team, Stormy, that is really big, really good defensively, a lot of good, strong, athletic pieces that, oh, God, yeah, I can switch like 3 different guys onto Cade Cunningham and feel comfortable in those one-on-one matchups. And I think we just saw all those things come together. Okay. So maybe the zigzag's in play. Maybe they lost game one and they're going to come back here and stop the Orlando Magic and win by 9. If they do it, it's their defense. And on the other end, Orlando is a good enough defensive team. I think this thing's going to get bogged down a bit. So I thought under was a worthwhile play here. We'll use it for best bets, but I also think 218.5 still playable, and I use it in our contest as well.
OKC blew out the Suns in game one, 119-84. They're laying 17.5 today.
Sure.
You want to lay it? If you had to, gun to your head.
I used it in the contest.
Okay.
Only because... So I forgot the deadline yesterday too.
Come
so
on.
I need to make.
Who are you, me? I'm usually the deadline misser.
What sucks is I would have been 3-0 to start the contest, except I don't get the picks in time.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Not here for your excuses.
You'll see evidence of that coming up here in a second. Either way, so I've got to make 19 more first picks in the first round.
Oh no!
So I've got to kind of scramble here. So I did use OKC minus 17 and under in that first contest, but yeah, look,
no,
I mean, the Thunder can absolutely stomp this team. I think so.
Okay, with that, then let's get to your recap and looking ahead to what you added in pocket today.
All right, as evidenced by the show yesterday and what we talked about yesterday, this graphic here would have been a great start. Trailblazers plus 11.5 and the Lakers plus 5.5 both get home yesterday.
All 3 dogs got home yesterday.
Yeah, so on a pretty good run. Hopefully we can continue this, but we'll see if that happens. The actual best bets for today, I forgot to put this in the doc. I apologize. We will go with Pistons and Magic under 219, and we will also go Penguins to win the series at plus 320. Against the Philadelphia Flyers.
And will you add, because we're not at the 24-hour yet.
Oh, that's a good point. We should do that now. For
under 1.5 quarterbacks. I think we both put us both down for that officially. I'm down to add it as we speak, especially see what number we can get. At DraftKings right now, let me see what the latest
under 1.5 quarterbacks in the first round.
Under 1.5 quarterbacks.
That Carson Beck will be there.
Still seeing plus 180.
Too bad Carson Beck. I mean, if it's going to go, I'm down with it. It's just got to be Carson Beck to ruin it for me. Please.
I'm so over it.
Why?
I mean, we've talked about this before. I am not, granted, I know Dan Orlovsky is much higher on Ty Simpson than anyone else is, but I do not view him as a first round pick. And I don't understand why we're having this conversation about reaching for guys when you don't need to. But it's an interesting conversation.
Well, you know why
we'll see how it ends up playing out. Why?
Because they're quarterbacks who are close to the draft, and we need to drum up some sort of action around.
Need to get some buzz. We actually were talking about this earlier off of the air. This draft doesn't really feel like I'm not as excited about this draft as I have been in years past. I feel like I've really been somebody that over the years gets super invested in this. I really, really care about X, Y, and Z. And this year it's like lost a little bit of the sparkle and the buzz for me. Do you agree? Do you feel that way too?
I would agree, yes. Yeah, I don't really have.
Are you just too busy looking at it?
No, I'm looking, but I'm listening to you too. But no, I'd agree. Like I think the same thing. I haven't really had the same, haven't had the same excitement around this draft as I had in years past in terms of tracking it, all of that sort of thing. What's the DraftKings price on the under?
Plus 180.
Okay, so I'm looking around. I was looking at
what have you found so far?
Plus 170, plus 175. So I'm shopping around to see what this is. So that'll be an addition as well.
I just think that's hilarious that it moved. 60 cents?
Yes.
Because of the Carson Beck tweet.
Yep. A couple of things here before we get out of here. Let's see. Mark checks in. He says, JVT, I was with you at the time. Remember, I said to add milk with your eggs. Make them fluffier. Sorry, I meant humans.
Ooh, I do that.
Yep, I do too. Rob checks in. We talked about home ice in the NHL. For the longest time, the saying with the NHL playoffs is that you're not in trouble until you lose a game at home. The Pens have overachieved all year with some flaws on defense, outscoring mistakes. The Flyers look to have figured them out. Big trouble in Pittsburgh, as Rob says. And Lance checks in 22-1 is what you can find on Carson Beck to go in the first round.
Don't waste your money.
What are you talking about? That's an investment right there.
Did want to say also that Thunder game, I saw this on X earlier, according to Bet Labs. If this 17.5 holds, it'll be tied for the largest spread in a playoff game since at least 2005. And teams in that time that have been favored by 17 or more points, 3-0 ATS. So it doesn't happen often, but when the spread is of that magnitude, the favorite has covered.
Oh, okay,
like
cool.
It's been a blowout. In the 3 instances that it's happened in recent history.
Makes sense to me. I think they're going to be able to name the score here. It depends on whether or not they want to. But look, especially remember last year they had a weird series with Memphis that was short, but they had to make the ridiculous comeback and all sorts of things. I mean, you want to, if you're Oklahoma City, as the cliche would go, you want to take care of your business because you want to be rested and ready to go for whatever comes out of the other side of the bracket. And who knows? Maybe your opponent might be well rested themselves, considering it's Houston and LA, and maybe the Lakers just sweep them and end it in 5. Or maybe the Rockets even this up going back, and then we'll see what happens. But either way, you want to take care of business if you have the opportunity. I would expect that they can and will do that.
You gonna, obviously, I know that you're more focused on the NBA, but are you going to do the dual screen with Penguins Flyers while Magic Detroit's on?
Yeah, that's what I do every night.
You have to. Well, I wasn't sure.
And then after...
Thank you, YouTube TV.
No, I was going to say, and there's no need to watch the late game, so I'll be all hockey there tonight.
There's no need to watch it?
The Thunder and the
Come on.
Suns?
What if it ends up being a...
Then I'll put it back on.
You're the worst. Fun day. Glad to be back in the saddle. Tomorrow, officially draft day, but... we'll still have opportunity, even though in Nevada you can't bet it anymore. Cross country, see if we can find some more late betting opportunities for you guys. Some great guests on deck as well.
About to get a free lunch?
Maybe. Steve Cohen, can we get food? We'll be right back.
No, we can't.